Hello and welcome to episode 105 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. Of course, I am your host, Rick Doherty. On today's show, I welcome back my good friend Marissa from Chicago. We're going to cover all aspects of Walt Disney World this week in a new segment I'm calling Fact or Figment. This is going to be a fun one. You're not going to want to miss it. Before we get started, this episode is going live on February 2nd. That means on Saturday, Universal Orlando Resort starts Mardi Gras International Flavors of Carnival. The event lasts until April 16th, and I've described it in previous years as the best Epcot festival, even though it takes place at Universal. With some incredible food booths and a nightly Mardi Gras parade, this festival is fun in a way that just wouldn't work at Walt Disney World. Universal's Mardi Gras concert lineup gets started with the legendary Patti LaBelle on Saturday. For people my age who listened to a lot of rock radio in the 90s, the Goo Goo Dolls will take the stage on February 11th and Three Doors Down on the 25th. Elsewhere in Orlando, SeaWorld's Seven Seas Food Festival concert lineup has also been announced for 2023. You can see En Vogue on the 4th, REO Speedwagon on the 5th, the Commodores on the 11th, Bee Gees and Beatles tribute bands on the 12th, Collective Soul on the 18th, Don McLean on the 25th, Ludacris on the 26th, and many, many more. I think it's time to welcome Marissa back to the show. Thanks for being here, Marissa.
Thank you for having me.
We are trying something new today. I'm really excited about this because I believe it will start conversations on a number of different topics. We won't just be sticking to one topic today. And the premise is fact or figment. So I will state some commonly held opinions in the Disney community, and the two of us will decide together if that opinion is a fact or if it is a figment. So this should be pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
So let's just get started. Our first one. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is the best land in Walt Disney World. Is that a fact or is it figment?
Ooh, wow. That's just going right in with the tough ones, huh? Oh, I'm going to say Figment.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of surprising myself there because I love Star Wars and I love Galaxy's Edge. But I think I might like Pandora a little more, even though I don't care about the Avatar movies. But it's just so beautiful, and I really think Satuli Canteen is the best quick service property, and it's gorgeous at night in a way that no other land is.
All right. Satuli was a good reasoning for why you gave it that bump because it is definitely better than Docking Bay 7 in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. My thought was if you say Figment, you have to say what would replace it. And you're saying Pandora, the world of Avatar. I don't necessarily feel like that's a full enough land. It has the two rides, but then again, two rides in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It has the shop. It has the place to drink. I would say that Oga's is much better than the place to just pick up drinks at the window at Pandora. And then, yes, they do win with the quick service. I'm going to say this is a fact only because I can't say that I feel Pandora reaches the same level as Galaxy's Edge. I could see going somewhere else, but nothing quite has what it takes to knock it off for me. But that's just my opinion, and I totally respect yours.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I just think it's a really tough one because Galaxy's Edge is a fantastic land. Like there's no doubt about that in my mind. But I don't know. I love the Star Wars movies far, far more than I care about Avatar. But I really think the nighttime atmosphere in Pandora says a lot. And I think that Oh, but I don't know. Galaxy's Edge does have more characters. Yeah, this is a tough one.
I'm going to say this. I feel that Pandora, the World of Avatar, does better with what I feel is a weak IP than Star Wars Galaxy's Edge does with a strong IP. You're already playing at a handicap in Pandora where I know these movies make billions of dollars. I still don't know anybody who has ever gone to see one in a theater, but I know people must do it. But Galaxy's Edge definitely had that advantage of working with an IP that so many people love. But we started with a controversial one, and that is always a good way to go. I think this one might be controversial, and people might get mad that the two of us are going to be deciding it, but that's just how it goes. It isn't worth it to take a kid to Walt Disney World before they will remember it. Is that a fact or is it Figment?
Ooh. Well, you know what? I'm going to say Figment. I'm going to say it is worth it because when you're vacationing with a child that young, no matter where you go, you're going to make memories as a parent of your child experiencing something. You're not going so your child can remember it. And I do think there is something to be said, according to parents I know. I do not have this knowledge firsthand, but according to parents I know, they have found it extremely rewarding to go to Disney at a time when their child is still experiencing that magic at 100%, and they are still seeing everything through the eyes of that's the real Tigger. That's the real Snow White. And even if they can't ride everything, and even if they don't necessarily remember it, the memories are worth it for the parents.
I am going to say it's a Figment, but only with a caveat here. And that is if you can afford to take them again when they will remember it, then absolutely take them before they're going to remember it. Make those memories. I first went when I was 5, and we went 5 times pretty quickly, basically like every other year. So I don't know which memories were from the time I went when I was 5 or which ones were from when I was 7, or it all kind of blends in after a while. Before they're 3, they're free. So that is a big deal in and of itself. So if you already have the trip planned, you may as well go and take the little one. But if you can afford to go back again and actually let the kid experience those memories, then sure, go before they're old enough. But if you only have that one trip that you can afford in your child's youth, I would say wait until that child is old enough to remember it. So that's my only little caveat there. Next one. Disney never should have changed the Great Movie Ride to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Is this a fact or is this Figment?
Oh, Rick. Oh, man. You're hurting me with this one. I you know what? I'm gonna go Figment again because as much as I loved the Great Movie Ride and I loved that it had Mary Poppins represented, I do think it definitely needed an update by the time it ended up becoming Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And I think that Mickey and Minnie's is a fantastic ride. The song is super catchy, it's really updated, it's fun, and Mickey and Minnie deserve a ride. I mean, it's Disney World. Give them their own ride.
I am right now signing on to my Disney experience, and I am going to see what the wait time is right now for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So this is actually not that long of a wait for Mickey and Minnie's. It is a 45-minute wait right now. I don't think the Great Movie Ride hit 45 minutes since 1995. It never had a long wait. I understand the nostalgia of it for people, but That park needs rides. It needs popular rides. It needs to get people out of line for Rise of the Resistance and Slinky Dog Dash. It's so popular with people. Yes, I fondly remember the Great Movie Ride. The Dick Van Dyke and Julie Andrews animatronics. Yes, we're going to miss those forever, of course. But Mickey and Minnie's is so popular, and I know so many people who love this ride. So I have to say it was a good move.
It was. And it's a ride that I think a lot more people can connect with and enjoy. Little kids weren't, riding Great Movie Ride, understanding what was happening, but everyone can enjoy Runaway Railway.
On April 3rd, Epcot Forever is returning to Epcot as the Nighttime Spectacular. Marissa, Epcot Forever is a better nighttime spectacular than Harmonious. Is that fact or figment?
Figment. That is an easy one for me. I think Harmonious is a fabulous show, and I am so sad it's going away. I don't think that we got enough time with it. Epcot Forever, it's fine. It's not something that I feel like I need to see. Also, just every time it comes up, I think that the name is hilarious. It's Epcot Forever, but it's just being used as an interim show.
I am going to 100% agree with you on this one. I tried to throw an easier one in there every once in a while. Epcot Forever is made for people like us. It's made for those people who have the fond memories of Disney from years past, who remember Epcot, know what veggie, fruit means, and all of that stuff. We are the prime audience, and I still think Harmonious is head and shoulders above Epcot Forever. I know there's some people who really had a problem with the barges, but I wish that Harmonious was staying at Epcot. I'm going to try to catch it a few more times before it closes on April 2nd. Fact or figment? It isn't worth it to take a solo trip to Walt Disney World.
Well, I'm biased. I'm saying Figment, take the solo trip. They're a lot of fun. I think that for some people, you might go into it with this thought that, if you're not going with someone to share it with, it's not going to be as much fun. But there really is something to be said about being in Disney where there are so many options for what you can do at any given moment and being in complete control of everything. So if you want to go ride something that the people you normally go with aren't huge fans of, you can go ride it. And you can ride it 3 times in a row if you want to. If you want to go get a Dole Whip and just sit and people watch for a little bit, you can do that too. It's all up to you.
You can ride that ride 3 times in a row, or if you're Marissa and it's Expedition Everest, what's your record now?
20. 20 is my record.
See, you're going to have a hard time finding somebody who wants to ride Expedition Everest with you 20 times in a row. Although you wouldn't even do it 20 times in a row if you went with somebody, because the only reason you did it that much was because of the single rider line. So there is another reason to take the solo trip. I think this is 100% Figment as well. Sometimes it's so liberating to be in the parks by yourself, to travel anywhere by yourself. Sometimes just being in a foreign city and knowing you don't have to ask somebody if you want to go to this museum or this historical place or go to dinner at this place. You don't have to worry about anybody else's tastes but your own. That's awesome. As much as I love sharing these parks with my friends, with obviously my wife Courtney, with my family, sometimes you just want to be there by yourself and do whatever the heck you want. And now I'm going to have a chance to mute the microphone for a little bit because I'm going to have to close the studio door here. And I have a feeling that Marissa will be able to talk on this one for a while. Zootopia would make a great replacement for Dino Land USA in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Marissa, is that a fact or figment?
That is a figment. Um, Absolutely do not put Zootopia in Animal Kingdom. It doesn't make sense. Animal Kingdom is all about conservation and preservation and treating the earth or the land that we have well and with respect. Zootopia is a movie about animals. Just because it has animals in it doesn't mean it's suited for Animal Kingdom. It still has to follow that theme of the park that they've actually been able to stick to pretty closely so far. And I feel like Zootopia is being brought up as an option just because on the surface people are like, yeah, it's got animals in it and Animal Kingdom. But oh, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit.
I think another reason it's being brought up is because they're opening a land for Zootopia in China. And if you look at Tron Light Cycle Run, which is a copy of the version from Shanghai Disneyland, I think that Disney is trying to get 2-for-1 as much as possible on building these rides. They did it with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So I would hate for that to be the reason that we end up getting Zootopia, which doesn't fit in Animal Kingdom in such a well themed park, to totally break that theme. And yes, Dino Land USA kind of broke that theme a little bit as well, but I feel like this would be even a step back from Dino Land USA, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, and even Dinoland, it's all about how humans can destroy things when we move in without regard to where we are. What started as this archaeological dig site, when they found bones, suddenly they were like, hey, we can capitalize on this and make money. And they put up a carnival. And that's kind of the little backstory. And I feel like that still does fit the theme of the park better than just saying, hey, there's bunnies and foxes. Like, okay. It would be nice in Hollywood Studios. I liked the movie. Put it there.
So I obviously also feel that this is a figment. So both Marissa and I are definitely down on bringing an IP like Zootopia to replace Dino Land USA, which leads into the next question. Incorporating too much IP is ruining the parks. Is that a fact or figment?
Ooh, that's hard because I don't think IP in itself is ruining the parks. No. I think that, people come to Disney seeing things Disney owns in the Disney parks. That's what people want. It makes perfect sense. And, at Disney's end, it's a pretty guaranteed way to make money. At the same time, I think that sometimes Imagineers get to stretch their own imaginations and innovate a little more when they're given more open-ended prompts to fill. So if they're not kind of bordered by that IP, they can maybe find a little more freedom to do a little more. So while I do want to see more non-IP things in the park, I don't think IP is ruining it.
I agree. That's a big old figment for me as well. I think that we spend so much time thinking about the way that we go to the parks. And I'm not talking like the two of us. I'm saying the Disney community, the people who really pay a lot of attention to this stuff. We think about how we go to the parks and we're like, oh, Haunted Mansion, that didn't have an IP. Pirates of the Caribbean originally didn't have an IP. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, these are some of our favorite rides, and they weren't attached to any type of movie, any type of television show. And we think we want more stuff like that. But when you talk to people who are more casual Disney fans, they want to see Anna and Elsa. They want to see Moana. They want to see these characters that they love, these intellectual properties, because to them, that is Disney. To us, Disney's the parks. But to most people throughout the world, Disney is the movies. When I was trying to convince Courtney to take our first week-long vacation to Disney, the first thing she said was, "Will I be able to meet Snow White?" It wasn't, "What kind of cool rides are they going to have there?" It wasn't, "Oh, do we get to go to the Haunted Mansion?" She didn't know about the Haunted Mansion. Now it's her favorite ride, but that's not going to get her to show up to the parks for the first time. The IP, I think, are the carrot that brings people to the parks. And then they get to see some other things that don't all have IP. You still have Big Thunder Mountain. Even though Pirates of the Caribbean now is an IP, you still have that ride. I want more people enjoying these parks. Don't ask me that when I'm actually there and I have to decide whether I'm getting into a 2-hour queue. But right now, in the comfort of my own home, I want more people going to these parks. And that's going to happen when they hear Tron. That's an IP I know. Snow White. That's an IP I know. Frozen. We all know how crazy people went for Frozen in those first few years. Encanto. Give us something Encanto. That's so
Oh, that'd be
popular
great.
right now.
Yeah, I know recently Guardians of the Galaxy has been the big debate about, putting that IP in Epcot. Does it fit there, et cetera, et cetera. But I will say that all of my casual Disney friends who are taking trips, every once in a while, they don't necessarily know all the news and info and backstories on these parks. Every single one of them has been so excited about a Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. They just care that they get to ride this new exciting thing featuring characters from one of their favorite movies. They don't care how it fits in Epcot. They just think it's going to be fun.
So I'm actually going to skip down on my list right now a little bit to tie into what you just said. Fact or figment? Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is the best ride at Epcot.
I'm going to say fact. I love
Wow.
that ride. Yeah, I there are a lot of rides that I love in Epcot. There really are. But Guardians of the Galaxy, I love a roller coaster. I love that it's a unique roller coaster, kind of unlike something that really you see anywhere else. I love the music. I love that you feel like you're in space as someone who, had dreams of being an astronaut as a child that were dashed by my inability to spin. Um, I think that feeling that you kind of get of being weightless and floating in space is probably the closest I'm ever going to get to it. So I love it.
So I'm going to say figment, but unfortunately, unlike the first thing where I say, if you're going to say Star Wars Galaxy's Edge isn't the best land in Walt Disney World, you have to say what is the best land in Walt Disney World. I'm going to say Figment for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind being the best ride at Epcot, but I don't know what I'm going to say is the best ride at Epcot because I'm a nerd. I love living with the land, but I know it's ridiculous to try to compare living with the land to something like Guardians of the Galaxy. I still feel like Spaceship Earth is the best version of encompassing the entire mission of a park with just one ride. Spaceship Earth tells you Epcot. This is Epcot. You walk right in the gates. You can walk right onto Spaceship Earth and get the entire vibe of Epcot from that one ride. So I think I'm going to say Spaceship Earth is the best ride at Epcot, but You're probably right.
Well, I mean, Spaceship Earth it's such a great ride, and like you said, it does really encompass what the park is all about. I just think that maybe if the original plans for refurbishment had gone through, it could remain the best ride at Epcot.
You're
Yeah,
100% correct. It needs a refurb.
maybe when it gets it, then we can rehash the debate.
All right, moving on to our next fact or figment. The monorail resorts at Walt Disney World are better than the Epcot area resorts. I think this is one that if you just think about it initially, you're going to say, that's a fact. But if you think about it just a little bit under the surface, it gets a lot closer. Now, I'll just clarify in case you're wondering what I mean. When I say the monorail resorts, I'm only talking the three that have direct monorail stops: the Contemporary, the Polynesian, and the Grand Floridian. When I talk about the Epcot area resorts, I'm talking about the Boardwalk, Yacht and Beach Club, and even though Disney doesn't technically own it, I am including the Swan and Dolphin in that. This is a lot closer than I think a lot of people would think.
Yeah, this is a really tough one. Um, and I think because, yeah, like you said, when you first hear the question, it seems like it's so obvious. But then when you start thinking about it, it really does become difficult. And I was lucky enough to have a quick stay at Yacht Club last year. And I was kind of shocked by how much I loved it there. And I think, coming off the coattails of that, I think that the Epcot area resorts might win out. Um, oh, I think that the pool at Yacht and Beach is probably the best pool on property. So if you're staying there, that's a huge plus. But I will also say those Epcot area resorts, you can walk to two parks. You can walk to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. That is huge. And because of where you enter Epcot, you can also have easy access to the Skyliner, which is another great mode of transportation.
And you have easy access in the morning to rope dropping Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, which is another thing that gives you a huge advantage staying at those Epcot area resorts. And I would say that Boardwalk Resort and everything that Boardwalk has to offer, which is available to anybody at Yacht and Beach Club, at the Swan and Dolphin. I'm talking about the bakery, the pizza window, the art gallery. They have an art gallery at the Boardwalk. All of those things kind of create like a nightlife, jelly rolls, the dance hall. Boardwalk itself is almost an attraction, is almost a destination, and you have access to that a lot longer than other people.
Yeah, and it's a lot more convenient to, spend a day at the park and then come back to your resort and have all this entertainment and kind of hang out on the boardwalk and just enjoy that area. Get a ice cream cone from the ice cream shop right there and just hang out and enjoy just kind of the vibes being in that particular area. Yeah, I think that has to win out as much as I do think the Magic Kingdom resorts are top notch, of course, but the convenience and the perks of the Epcot area resorts, I think ultimately win out.
I am going to say that I said the monorail resorts and not the Magic Kingdom resorts, because if I said Magic Kingdom resorts, that would have brought Wilderness Lodge into this conversation, and it would have been a whole different talk.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I was thinking monorail resorts. Yeah, Wilderness Lodge, that's a whole different conversation. Then it becomes even more difficult.
Marissa and I are going to continue Fact or Figment in a future episode of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. Marissa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
This has been episode 105 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. Make sure to follow us on social media because we have a lot of fun stuff planned in the future. You can find me on Twitter at Rick_ear, Instagram at Rick Doherty TGTT, and TikTok at Tall Guy Talks Travel. Marissa's on Twitter at ThinkMickeyBlog, and Sarah Says is at Sarah Says84. After the Sarah Enigma was on the show for episodes 103 and 104, a lot of you have been asking me about how to see her content on dealing with chronic illness. You can find her on Instagram at the Sarah Enigma. Read her blog to learn what not to say to someone dealing with chronic illness and what it means to be a spoonie. You should also make sure to subscribe to the Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty YouTube channel. You can see or will have the chance to see vlogs from Epcot's International Festival of the Arts, an after-hours event at Magic Kingdom, Busch Gardens Tampa, Kennedy Space Center, Universal's International Flavors of Carnival, and so much more. We will have a brand new episode of the podcast next Thursday. Until then, have a great week.